Welcome Pisces, June 2019. I'm Dadhichi from astrology.com.au, and this month I'd like to talk to you about some very, very powerful aspects that are taking place here in the area of friendships and love affairs. This area here also has to do with your creative pursuits, but it's important because there's a great deal of tension building up here. We have talked for some time about this combined influence of Saturn and Pluto, which in the area of friendships is now intensifying even more, because as you see here, the retrogression or the apparent reverse motion of these two planets. And Pluto, as some of you may know, is very transformative. Ketu, or the south node, has to do with your past karma. So there's a lot of stuff going on here with friendships, establishing what true friendship is all about. Where have you invested your time, your energy, your love in terms of those social engagements? What you may find now is that you've been maybe a little off the mark, especially because we see here a new moon in the fourth house. This fourth house of the horoscope has to do with your family, your inner peace of mind and happiness. And Mercury is here, so I suspect there's a lot of self-talk going on in your life right now. And that new moon energy shows a big turnaround, not just in terms of your friendships, but first and foremost in terms of yourself. Understanding yourself, and also that self-talk, understanding the way you engage yourself. If you're able to sit back from the mental white noise that's going on, you'll be absolutely amazed. It's a unique form of meditation that I advise to many of my clients and students, sitting back in yourself and just observing what's going on in your mind. The self-talk, the way in which you talk to yourself is as important as what you say to yourself. We're all talking about, you've heard it, affirm, positive affirmations, creative visualization. That doesn't work if the wall of white noise that you have there is not being penetrated. So that is an important development for you, the way in which you talk to yourself. And then that, as you can see here, after the 4th, 5th and 6th, the moon engages all of these planets along with Mercury, the planet of communication, into that 5th house. So your emotions, your mind and the way you speak to others is going to strongly be influenced by the way you speak to yourself. You have to, that saying that, no one's going to love you unless you love yourself. Well, no one's going to understand what you're saying if you don't understand yourself and the way you communicate to yourself. So be clear on what it is you want to convey here, because this tension that's building up here has strong long-term consequences for you. The ramifications are very, very powerful, because these planets here, these shadowy points, the north node and the south node, this, if you draw a line through here, it's the path of the soul, moving from the past life through here into the future life. And what this tells us is that you are learning a lot about how you've dealt with friendships in the past. And this is going to determine how you deal with them in the future, successfully or otherwise. You see also this is carried through into the 7th house. I'm sticking to one theme today around the 10th and the 11th, your most personal, intimate relationships. Notice the opposition to Neptune here. Let me go back there a little bit. That's important. Neptune is your ruling planet. There we see the opposition taking place from your 1st house into your 7th house. So there we see, again, a connection here between all of these planets. Fortunately, Neptune is making favourable aspects to the zone of friendship and this creative, communicative zone, while Mercury and Mars there. And you are able to somehow break through some of this confusion, I think, around this time. And while it moves through the 8th house of self-transformation and intimacy, that can also bode well for your most intimate and personal relationships. You could be subjected to some unusual belief systems around the 14th and 15th. I say that because the moon moves into the influence of Uranus here as it's in your 9th house of philosophical beliefs, religion, and higher ideals. An important aspect as well is the full moon here, which takes place with one of your rulers, Jupiter, in the 10th house. It's been there a while. But the full moon here accentuates this very strongly. If you've been waiting for some good breaks in your work or through your employer, Jupiter now is retrograde. Now, a lot of people say, oh, that's going to set things back. It may or may not. For you, Jupiter is your ruler and also governing your professional arena. Therefore, it's going to empower that part of your life. And while the moon, also the planet relating to one of the triangular houses of your horoscope, which is lucky, makes contact with this, this is really the time, the 17th, 16th, 17th, 18th and 19th, to make headway in your work. Even if you've got to review some things there, you can always throw your hat in the ring, even though the retrograde planets do often show a bit of a delay, but not for the worst, it's sometimes for the best. And then as it moves through this 11th house, you can start to see some opportunity for fiscal gain. That also too, when it moves into the 2nd house of finance, which is around the 25th and 26th, there you see the challenging aspect to these planets in the 5th house. All that does is it shows us the retrogression, may give you some ideas for how you can earn money, but you may be obstructed there. Your ideas may be a little bit too far-fetched. You may not be on the same page with the people you work with, and more importantly with your employer. So have a look at how, again, as I said earlier, how you talk to yourself, how you present your ideas. It's not so much the content, but the manner in which you're doing all of this. The brilliant connection here in your communications with Uranus has a couple of conflicting aspects from Mercury here, but also a sextile, favourable, friendly aspect to the Sun. So here you may have a mixed bag. It is again the way in which you communicate. I've got a sense here, my intuition tells me, if you've got something to say, you should write it down, formulate that in words so that you document and notarize everything that you've got to say here. Otherwise you may come out with stuff, and not because anyone's going to sort of accuse you of anything, but you want to remember what you've said. Sometimes when there's an exuberant, excitable moment, which it could be under this combination, you may actually forget the minutiae and the details of everything. The month finishes on that note there in the 3rd house of communication, so pay attention to that on the 29th and 30th, and all should be well. Join me at astrology.com.au, and also if you need a personal reading, by all means drop me a line. That's the way to really make better heads or tails of what's happening to each of you individually, and you can do that by just sending me a note here at the bottom. Don't forget to subscribe, and I look forward to your company again next month. Bye bye now.